Well, I think that Rozenstruik proved a number of things. I mean, first off, what a great competitor, right? This was not some wonderful fight, and I think that he showed that he was a little weak in some of the grappling departments. I understand all of the corrections are there, but let's look at the good news, okay? He went almost 25 minutes. Any heavyweight that can go almost 25 minutes, just in and of that, separates himself from the pack. Just does. Went toe-to-toe with Overeem, and I understand that Overeem had a strategy, kept him at bay, and did some stuff that was very smart, and it was very smart, but he still went toe-to-toe with Overeem. He survived, he weathered a storm, he found his point, and he put Reem down. I mean, this guy's a buy. This guy's a buy for sure. Does he have things to work on? Sure he does. But I do think when you're looking at the bigger picture of things, particularly when you're staring at Ngannou just by example, and I bring up Ngannou because Ngannou appears to be looking for a dance partner. And even though him and Volkan and this talk about March and they're going to do it in France, all these different things, Ngannou needs a dance partner, and Ngannou is one of these guys that if you match him up just right, boy, do you have something compelling. And I do think when you look at Rozenstruik and you see some of these similarities about these guys that like to be on their feet and would prefer not to be on the ground and prefer to be in there with an opponent who doesn't even want to take it to the ground. Okay, well, it sounds like you guys are saying a lot of the same things. And then when Ngannou was coming out after him, and Ngannou was pretty cool about it. Ngannou didn't call him out. He didn't say anything. He said, boy, you made your mark, you made your impression. He tipped the hat to him. But I do think when you're looking at a main event fighter like Ngannou versus a main event fighter like Rozenstruik, and even if Rozenstruik's brand new to the main event, he is now a main event fighter. And I think when you start to look at some of those matchups and seeing who's available, if in fact Ngannou is open, I think that you start to have something very interesting there. And, so much of the dialogue comes in the day after, and it seems as though if a guy ever gets a big win, but he showed some flaws, that so many people will just cling to those flaws. And I can just tell you, when you look at a guy like Rozenstruik who got taken down and for the most part got held there, yeah, I get it. Then so many people can come away and go, okay, well, if you're ever fighting him, just take him down, just hold him there. That's all you have to do. That sounds a lot like what people used to say about Israel Adesanya about 20 months ago. Now, is Rozenstruik going to grow between fights at the rapid pace of Adesanya? I don't know. But he just got a win over Reem, who very few people have ever done, in a 5-round contest, in a main event. I mean, there was a lot of things, a lot of boxes that got checked, a lot of questions that got answered, and he also showed what a competitor is. And if you want to cling to a negative that he got put in some positions and did it explode up and use this, if you want to cling to some of those things, but be absent-minded to think that he's not also aware of it. If you think you saw a hole in Rozenstruik, wouldn't you also conclude that he was exposed to the same thing? Oh, by the way, his coaches and trainers were exposed to the same thing. So, by the way, they're going to go in the gym and work on those things? Because if you look at Adesanya, that's exactly what happened. And now he's got a world championship. So, if you want to cling to some of those things, you would be within your rights. That is what you saw. But I do think that you also need to be aware of a guy who protected himself, who did stay safe. And maybe it wasn't the highest level of ground technique you've seen, but it was enough to get him through the round. It was enough to get him back to the spots. I mean, look, in the big picture of things, I think Reem looked like the better fighter. I thought Reem looked more experienced. I thought Reem decided the range of that fight and controlled it. And a fight, after all, is nothing more than a dance. One person leads at a time. I thought that was Reem. I get the whole thing. But to act as though Rozenstruik, who got thrown into this situation, who's undefeated in mixed martial arts and who went out there and found a way to win and is now on the radar of Francis Ngannou, to act as though that's something very special in his career, did it happen last night, would be false.